Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And Eid Mubarak, everyone. I am Sutana Whitfield. I am not Preacher Moss, but welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss. This is our daily show that we do at the same time every day. We just celebrated a year. So thank you to everyone, who has shown up, who has been here from day one. We appreciate it. But we want to again thank everyone for showing, and we hope you have a great time. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. We definitely want to grow this platform, and so we appreciate you for it. So Preacher is actually out. He is busy guy, so he is actually out. Serving as a host for an award show. So like the Muslim Oscars. So he's doing that. So I am sitting in as host for today. So having so I hope that we have a great time and have a great discussion around the topic today. So welcome to people. If you're new to the show again, Sister Sutana, sitting in for Preacher Moss for the shout out show for Preacher Moss. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to our regulars who come in every day on time. And we're gonna go over there and because we got some comments in, and we're gonna go ahead and welcome them in. So yes, Ree is always the first one in. So welcome, Sister Ree. I pray everything is going well. I know that you and your family were traveling and to lay your aunt to rest. And so hopefully everything is going well, and prayers and peace to your family, and to you and to Brother Derek and to your family. Thank you for joining, Sister Ree. And I should say, Sister Ree is known as the show's dietitian because she serves up great food. So we're looking forward to like a show from her. So, it's coming along. Um, all the way from Toronto, Eid Mubarak, to Altaf Rashid. He is our official ambassador for Canada. So he's from Toronto, Canada. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Altaf, and thank you for coming. We totally appreciate you. Sister Aika, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Aika, who's all the way from Indonesia, not from Depok, Indonesia. And so, Sister Aika, we hope you had a beautiful Eid. I actually saw some pictures of you with groups of people. I think it was your family, but hopefully that was a beautiful time that you had. Sister Ree, you're quite welcome. You are, part of the Shout Out Show family. So, always prayers and blessings to you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Johnny L. Thomas, and congratulations and Eid Mubarak to you. Brother Johnny L. Thomas is a great friend of Preacher. They have been friends forever. And Johnny, while not Muslim, has been fasting this Ramadan season. So, we say Eid Mubarak, when the Eid is complete. And congratulations to you, Brother Johnny L. Thomas. I heard that you did a wonderful job this season. So, and may all the blessings and peace be unto you and to your family as well. So thank you. And thank you for joining as well. So, and if you all are just joining me, as I said in the beginning, I am Sister Sultana. I am, standing in for Preacher, who is actually on assignment. He's actually hosting the Muslim Oscars. So so I'm stepping in for him. So today, I thought I would have something, that talked about children. And the topic is Saturday spotlights, including children and building the future. And I was inspired. I saw this, and I had another topic, but I saw this event that happened last night. I'm going to try and show a clip of it, but it was how it was in the masjid, right? So religious institution, and they were looking to do fundraising, right? And so they um, looked to the youth, and when I say youth, I mean 13 and under, had an idea about having this fundraiser, and it was so cool. And it was so cool because it was fitting to them and everything. Oh, I forgot to say I have on my Eat shirt, so Eat Mubarak. That's why I wore this. But I digress. So, but it was such a great idea, and of course, it was um for the kids, right? It was in that age group, right? And so it was something that they enjoyed, something that this whole production that they put together, and it was just like the coolest thing. And it's something that we need to look to this. And I said that, are we including children when we are looking at building projects? So whether projects are institution educational, and I mean, like, not think of them, but actually include them in the process of um, include them in the process of like planning. So when I saw this, I was like, this is such a great, such a great video where they were actually included in the process of helping their community by coming up with this concept, coming up with this project to help them like fund the community. So I'm going to try and play this. Give me a second. Hopefully it will go. I did do some testing, but you never know. So I will prompt it. Okay. Okay, let's see if this is gonna do this. So this is just the intro of it. I want to show a little bit more about the game, and they actually did an interview as well. And so I do want to go into that. Hold on one second. Stop. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I do want to show you that. But this is just kind of the intro where they actually came up with this whole, like I said, concept of like, okay, what can we do as kids? What do we know that can help our community? And so they came up with this whole gaming platform, right? One of the kids, their dad did help them kind of program the gaming, but they developed the teams, right? They you know named the teams. They figured out what they wanted to do. They figured out how they wanted to play it, and then they afterwards they played the game. So we saw this all happened live. So this was yesterday, right? It all happened live. And then they played the game, and so you saw, of course, if you're into gaming, you know how this process works, right? It's you see the screen of the game, and then you see the gamers on the screen, like actually playing the game. So this is this whole production, and then afterwards they did, and that was pre-taped, right? And then so they came in live afterwards and did interviews on how they did the production and how they're helping their community. And I'm going to try and scroll over to that and maybe a little bit later on. But are we actually including children in building our future, building communities of the future? Because if we took the same process and said to some of the adults, right? Um, their concepts would be a little bit different, and so it may be some of the same things that that's always um, that's always been in kind of the system, the fundraising system or the building system, but not really including the kids' perspective. Um, and Johnny L. Thomas says, yes, creative perspective for the kids. Yes, it's really creative. It's a really creative perspective. And it also gets them involved in, if it's, we're talking, especially if we're talking community, right? It gets them involved that they want to stay involved in communities because, we have so many things that are adult led and a adult thought process, and there's no space for the kids, right? Imam Muhammad always talked about this shared freedom space, which included everyone. And so there would be kind of this diversity of even, ages, right? And so you would have this full community with, different thought processes. And it's a community that's going to grow, right? So if you're looking at, not only say my parents' age group, my age groups younger than me, this is going to be a legacy of a community that's going to grow, right? So if you just have a thought process just from my community, it's only going to stand still for so long, right? It's not going to grow, right? So I was just really impressed by this. So I want to hear from you all, like what is happening in your communities. Do you include, are kids include, is it are kids included? Do they is there even like a board or a space for them to come in and share ideas and even implement ideas and even bring them into that space to help them understand and help them coach that? So give me some comments. What I'm going to do is actually go through another segment of this. So give me a second. Sorry. Let's see if I can do this. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, great.
Welcome. My name is Fatima. My name is Hakeem Jenkins, and I'll be the host today. My co-host is Brother Hakeem Jenkins, the father. Alhamdulillah, all praise due to Allah. Okay. Before we start the exhibition / fundraiser, let's open up with prayer. First we'll recite Surah Fatiha. Then we'll do the first 12 ayats of Surah Waqiyah. So, Bismillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. For Redeemer. All praise is for Allah. من الأولين وخليل من الآخرين على سرور. Magnificent truth. Okay, so now that we opened up the prayer, explaining what the exhibition is fundraising. So a while ago, I think before Ramadan, like a month ago, I had an idea to create a fundraiser for the masjid, but it would have to be something that both the kids could enjoy and the older generation or the adults can enjoy. So we thought about it. Me and my father thought about it, and we were going to do like a video game fundraiser, a video game that both the kids would enjoy, and something that the adults would enjoy, like having the children's faces in it, showing their reactions, the music by the kids playing in the event, and other things like so much more, like interviews and all that. So did you want to? No. Okay. So now that you guys kind of get the gist of what's happening. My name is Fahim James. I'm 12 years old. I'm 13. Inshallah, I'm in seventh grade, going to 8th next year. Inshallah. So now that you know about me, let's hear something about the players. Before we go in.
So this is kind of the mindset of the kids that are in the community, right? So again, it's they're looking to help their community, and so they want to have this involvement. But it was great that they were able to take the lead, and of course give some insight to the parents, and the parents were able to help them and maybe tweak some of it. But a lot of this, it was their production, right? It's their production. I'm going to shoot you another clip later on where you're going to see kind of all the players, but I just want to have some discussion around that. But I do have a comment I'm going to pull up. Welcome. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It Mubarak. This is Preacher's mom, Mama Mary Moss. So good to see a community that involves both parents alongside the children. That is so true. There are a lot of institutions that, and I'm going to say religious, and I'll just bring it back home and say even like masjids and Islamic institutions where you just don't see children in the masjid, right? And so that's lost. And so if you don't have a segment that's in the masjid, it's really not going to grow. And there even um, hadith, right? There are hadith that the Prophet, peace and prayers be upon him, talked about children, or he did. He was inclusive of children in the masjid. So he had grandsons Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam, and basically, they would, get on his shoulders, and there was one uh, um, seer about how the prophet was down in prostration for so long, and then someone came and asked, he's like, well, why were you in prostration for so long? Were you making a long dua? Were you getting a revelation? Why were you down in prostration for so long? And the prophet alayhi salam was like, well, no. He said his grandson was on his back, and he didn't want to disturb him or hurry him. He wanted him to finish up, um for him to finish up and satisfy what his wish was, kind of what his thinking was. And so the prophet didn't want to disturb the child. And so there are many hadith that talk about children in our community, and children being just a part and a part and parcel of that community. So I have one more side of the clip I do want to show. Just give me a second. Um, let's see. All right. Okay, here we go.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Assalamualaikum. Okay, so a question for all of you. You all can start one at a time, but how's your Ramadan been? Tador, since you're on the screen first, you can go. Are you still on mute, Tador?
Watching you all do what you guys do. I'm absolutely amazed at the way you can put together your productions, the way you all organized and did this game tournament. And, I just wanted to ask you, how do you guys feel, as the quote unquote next generation? It's more of a general question, but what does that mean to you guys? I'm just curious. What do you think about
it? It's pretty cool to be like one of the next generations of kids or humans. It feels good.
Okay, so what is your response?
Yeah, like what Amir said, who's the next generation of humans, and I guess it's awesome. And we do all this and we're just kids.
Yeah.
You set up this whole live stream. We get to play Rocket League. Yeah, awesome.
Okay. It's how about you? It feels cool and pretty good to be one of one of the young kids who's on the next generation. Want to be grown up to be a good rocket league player. Mm, yeah, and a good Muslim. That's about it. Um,
I think this is what I got a question from.
So that was I found it to be such a great interview. It was they have such a great view of of their place in the community, and they want to be part of the community, right? Sometimes we actually push them away or don't include them, but they have like their own thought process. And it's interesting because I know their parents, right? And I've seen them born and grow up. So they're under 12, right? They're under 13. I think the oldest one is under 13. So it's interesting to actually, and if you all know you have children, or you have, children in your community and your family, it's just so interesting to see them like develop these thought processes and thought these concepts. And it's like, wow, where did they get this from? But they're so bright. And, we need to make sure that we have this space for the youth in our community, right? And not kind of think for them, not kind of think to say that, we know what they want, right? We need to make sure that we do have input, um, input from them, make sure they can actually take a concept from the beginning to end like they did. They said, okay, what can we do to help our community, right? They said that, you know, this is what we do in our space as kids, right? We can, and it's fun. It's something that would interest them. And then also that, like, for instance, I told my nephew about it, and he's a gamer, right? I was like, hey, you need to watch this on Lucy Khalifa. And he was like, wow, really? Right. And so, and again, you don't really expect that, like, coming from like the mash shit, right? But this is also a way to kind of spark their interest, to say, okay, if it's something that they can do with their friends, right? So this is something that they did online. It got a group of friends together. They came up with this. They did this process, and it makes it a little bit fun, right? So they can actually, go in and have that space for themselves, and be interested and know that, what, there's something else that they can do to help our community. So come on in with the comments. Do what how are the spaces that you are in, so, and I don't mean just masjid, I mean even like churches and other places of places of worship and institutions. Like, do we include the children's concepts and children's um uh, thoughts and comments when we are looking at building communities, right? And so if we're looking at the community of the future, is the community of the future with our thought process. And so, you know, and half of us probably don't even have never even like been on a gaming console, right? Or know about gaming, but this is what is of interest to them today. And so if we're looking at things that are of interest to us, how is that community, how is that community going to look in the future? Is it going to look like this community, or is it going to look something that they can relate to, that they're interested in, they want to run through? Hey, so Preacher Moss is actually um, in the comment section. Welcome, Preacher Moss. Um, Preacher says, I like it. It brings children's relevancy to the process. So yeah, it does. It really it that is so true. Let's see. Are you? I'm gonna see if I can bring you in as my co-host for a second. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Walaikum
wabarakatuh.
assalam
Come
wa
on in.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I had a few minutes. I was trying to sneak and watch the show. You're doing a fabulous job.
Alhamdulillah,
I just hope
alhamdulillah,
I have a show when
alhamdulillah.
I come back. People don't kick me off my own platform. You're doing a great job. And I have to
Alhamdulillah.
say this about these young men doing this thing. It's so much more than just the gaming. It's just so much more than the gaming. It's having it's having Um, really, just the intuitiveness. We're going to organize. We're going to strategize. There's some marketing there. There's a video. You can just see where it just boils out of so many different things, and it's asking kids to lean on their best attributes creatively, because a lot of people sometimes they don't understand that a creative child is a child that has a strong educational foundation in a lot of regards. They're pulling things, so they're pulling things from different areas, and then pulling things from different areas. That's how they're able, if you will, to go ahead and just make these different ideas, and it's fun. To be honest, it's just fun to watch. I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
technology and watching kids with technology. You know why? Because they, it's cool to be wrong around kids. Like this thing right here is cool to be wrong.
Mm.
Like you don't know what you're doing, they will tell you, and
Yes.
it's a very symbiotic process that a child can teach an elder, teach parent. You know, um, I think it's a beautiful thing, man. It
Yeah.
is very um, very organic.
Here again, it's
Outside of the
rewarding.
game is very organic, and you could really it's very tangible when you watch it. Because the
Mm.
father left.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He was like, I'm going that way.
He's like, yeah. I know how he helped out a little bit, but I know it was the kids who actually, did that. And they did such a wonderful job.
Yeah, it was like he knew where his cue was. He was like, I'm done now.
Right,
Like he got to the end of his card and was like, exit, and he bounced.
right. But
I
he
think
knew they were doing a good job.
and you
Yeah.
need that. It's like you
Yeah.
100% need that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of that sometimes. Even when I was teaching, we would have computers. I'm like, well, I don't know as much computers as you do. Now this is before you had internet and stuff like that. That's when you had mainframes and everything had to be wired around the school. So we're not talking the internet days. We're talking the early
Right.
days,
The cards.
the floppy disk.
The cards.
Yeah. The big floppy, and you stick it in. But I think these kids are so advanced, man.
Yeah.
Like they're major league advanced.
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw this last night. I was like, okay, I got to do something on this. And it speaks to, again, that, bringing the relevancy in. They know what they're doing. They have this concept in their mind. We just have to trust them and guide them as well, but not really be in their way. Right.
Well,
So,
I also think, and I'm not going to tie up. You can kick me out anytime you want to, man. But I think there's a certain type of integrity with kids when they're learning technology and trying to build communities. That
mhm.
is so much more nuanced than adults. We can see adults have the opportunity to do something good with technology, and we fumble the ball. Either we don't work it to the large capacity that it has, or somehow it gets inverted and we're using it for ways that it's not meant to be used. It's not meant to be used that way, and we're trying to make it that way, and we're trying to make it right. Children still have that space where there's reverence for the technology. You know,
Irene also said our institution has a youth council and they have organized fundraising game events. That's great. That is awesome. Yeah. This is this isn't, and it's really appealing to the kids, and that's what I love about it. And it keeps their interest, and it keeps their interest in staying in part of whether or not it's a youth event, a religious event, but they feel that they have to they're part of the event.
when I taught in public school many years ago, um, one of the things that was beautiful is, and I fought for it along with my aide. Big shout out to Miss Thomas and Miss Rambo, my aides. But we literally fought for computers in the classroom.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
we threatened the school, like if we don't get our computers, it's gonna be some business. I'm like, I'm putting the kids on the playground.
Yeah.
We're going buck wild. And we fought,
Right.
and we didn't get the best computers. But we got
Mm.
some computers, and it was just interesting being able to teach kids on computers and just have this different way of presenting education, presenting learning. And kids, mine had behavioral issues, emotional disturbances,
Mhm.
what have you. But having the computers was just a big part of behavior management because you could say, hey, listen, I need three happy faces or four happy faces before you get on the computer, and they would break
Mhm.
their necks for those happy faces because the computers was something that were not in the house.
Right, right.
They would go home to
Mhm.
no computers, and I think later on I really made a big deal about trying to address the digital divide, about the fact that kids weren't having computers in the house, and they didn't really
Mhm.
have in the libraries at the time either. They were falling behind. So
Which is
I'm
still
gonna I'm gonna shut up.
still
Good to
here. I
see
mean,
you.
the thing is that the digital divide is still here, and that's a whole nother show that we need to like examine. But yeah. So, but thank you for joining. I know you're in the process of another event.
Well, you
See,
guys, you're doing a fabulous job. So I'm like, let me get out of here before I mess up the works. This is
alhamdulillah,
this is the shout out show with Satana Whitfield, everybody. Shout out
alhamdulillah.
show with Sister Satana.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You're doing a
You're
great
welcome.
job. Bye bye now.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Welcome. Welcome to Barakatuh. Awesome sauce. So that was Preacher Moss, the show, the host of the shout out show. But like I said, he is in the middle of doing another event, so he popped in. So alhamdulillah. So yeah, so again, like I said, I was really excited. So if you all want to see the full video of this, it's it's on the Masjid's page. It's Masjid Muxi Khalifa, Abdul Muxi Khalifa. I believe the site is Masjid Khalifa, KHALIFAH. The full name of the masjid is Masjid Abdul Muxi, MUHSI Khalifa, and it's in Brooklyn, New York. So go on the Facebook page and check this out. And this is also a fundraiser, so hey, donate if you can. But this is this is was the children's way of saying this is how I want to participate in my community, making being part of it, and helping out my community, and also being a part of future being part of the future of the building community. Kudos to their parents. Like I know their parents, and so kudos to all of them. Because these kids, I was like, wow, I can't believe how old they've gotten, but they're doing such a wonderful job. So kudos to them. And kudos to everyone out there. And again, if you're in these situations and you do see that, you look at your boards and you look at and you don't see kids involved, or you don't see teenagers involved, make a a conversation piece about how that's needed, and how, if we're looking to do like this kind of this holistic community, this shared space, this diversity of space, that you want to include them, because they do have some great ideas, and they can actually, and with some guidance, they can actually be able to come up with the ideas and to completion. And last word is from Mama Mary Moss. Is proud to see that these kids' parents have come a long way from the old way. Kids are to be seen and not heard. You are so right, Mama Mary Moss. That is kind of the old way of thinking. It's like, okay, just like the kids, but it's like the way to me, for some reason, I said this year, like I felt like the kids had like such a growth spurt, right? They've gotten like so tall, they've gotten so, and I don't know if it was with COVID or what have you, and it's like I look up and I'm like, oh wow, and I'm like, there's such a different kid, right? And so, but their expressions and like their thought process has changed, and I'm like, wow, and I'm like, we really need to listen to them. We don't need to wait until like okay, they're in their teens, or no, we need to listen to them now, because at that point, then they won't be interested, right? They won't be interested in what we want them to be interested in. If it's, let's just say, a religious institution, they're not going to be interested because we push them away, right? So we want to make sure that they're included, that it's inclusive of, everyone, have them part of it, because they're the future, right? And they're going to actually, actually, it's going to be something that we're the steward. They're going to take this on, and they're going to move with it. And then we want to set great examples too. We don't want them to kind of covet it. They want them to, even generations after them, to actually do the same process. Allow people that are younger than them to kind of take the lead on certain things. So Beautiful video, says Sister Ree. It was. I was so excited about it. And again, it's Masjid Khalifa on Facebook. So facebook.com/Masjid Khalifa. You can go out and see the full video of this. But it just like it got me fired up like yesterday because they did like live yesterday. But go out and see it, replay and see it and like, comment on the video as well, and fundraise. So drop some dollars if you can. So everyone, looks like it's time. I thank you so much for joining me today as the host for the Shout Out Show. I always get nervous when I come on, and it's like, okay, and then I just breathe, and I'm just like, okay, just like go for it. But you all are such a great audience, and like our shout outs or warriors are so amazing and so supportive. So thank you. Preacher should be back on in full tomorrow. And thanks, Preach, for coming in as well. I know he's doing like double or triple duty at times. And so I'm going to shout out our sponsors. Be Financial Independence, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. It's Maxine Cade, or go to our website or call 1-800-679-3175. That's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, or call 800-679-3175. Other is Beyond Online. And so this is the school that Preacher is actually graduating from. He got his master's, as you all know. Graduation is sometime in 2 weeks, next week, sometime around that time, the 20th, somewhere in that time frame. So this is where he graduated, Islamic education. And so, go online. And one other thing is the universal title. So definitely take a look at that, the universal title. .com. And so this is a 6-part series. It's a podcast, and Preacher is actually the narrator on this 6-part series about Muhammad Ali's spiritual journey from Christianity to Al-Islam. And so there is like the 6-part podcast. So go find it out on your favorite podcast. One of my friends, my dear friends, Precious Rashida Muhammad, was one of the she's a lead writer and an EP on it. So it's great. Go out to this website. It's so much more detail about it in addition to the podcast. Like the backstory is so amazing. So go ahead and do that as well. So I am Sister Sultana. I want to thank you and just wish you all a great day. And, hopefully we'll be back again at it tomorrow. So I bid you adieu. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Eid Mubarak to people. Thanks.
Hey, everybody, this is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your Shout Out Show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next Shout Out Show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.